What's up, guys? Our Wrestling Podcast back at you with another episode. This is Dave Vicious, along with Justin Total Package, Craig the British Bulldog, and the Nature Boy Joe, bringing you our perspective on the world of professional wrestling. No inside sources, no ties to the industry, just stories from the diehards, sharing opinions with you. Today's topic, What If Part 4. For audio fans, give us a listen on Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, and iHeartRadio, or watch our videos on YouTube at Our Wrestling Channel, and check out exclusive content on Daily Motion at Our Wrestling Podcast. On social media, can you give us a follow on Instagram at O.W.P or on Facebook at Our Wrestling Podcast? Jess, it's another episode of What If.
For those of you won't know this, right? But like like Back to the Future 2 and 3, they were filmed together, like back to back. And we did part 3 and part 4 of What If. And if you air it apart or whatever, if Joe never appears on a show between the time that I air 3 and 4, people are going to be like, how long was Joe hurt for? What happened? Like, so
how long was he out?
Yeah, like for a year. I was like, he's been in his bed for a goddamn year. Like, if I don't...
You want to see the bed sores? They're all over.
Oh my God!
So we're doing another one.
That's from movie 7 right there.
We're doing part 4 of What If. Craig's original topic is just getting so much mileage.
I didn't realize this was my idea, but I appreciate you giving me props for it.
It was, and dare I say, it's in the O.W.P. Hall of Fame. That's what's going to go. So, I'll start off this one if you don't mind me starting out right here.
Please.
Actually,
go ahead.
Please, Jess.
Mine is okay. We all know that Vince bought WCW in March of 2001, right? We all know this. Okay, it's very famous. Another company that he bought, the sale went through later in March or maybe early April of another promotion that was sort of downplayed because the big deal was WCW was their Monday Night War competitor or whatever. But there was a third promotion. And what if WCW was bought out just the way it happened, but everybody knows that in the mid-90s, and they didn't know till later, by the way, that WWF was actually borrowing talent from ECW and kind of paying Paul a little, hey, if I borrow this person and that person or whatever, like, we'll give you X amount of money a year. What if ECW somehow held on and Vince bought WCW and just said, no, stay where you are? Because what a lot of people don't talk about is around the time of WrestleMania 7, they being WWE, they left USA and went to TNN, which is where WCW had its show on. So what if Vince said, look, I'll make a deal with TNN, we'll keep you on a different night or whatever in a lesser way. But what if Vince just kept kind of like, I still want to borrow talent and you kind of want to be our feeder system? What if ECW never went out of business and it stayed going? Because Vince was sort of like, you're going to be under my thumb. You could still be as gross as you want, as ECW-ish as you want, or whatever. You're not part of us. Like, Vince doesn't buy ECW, but they keep financing him. So where Vince is just like, good, I'm glad WCW's gone. I want to keep a lesser promotion going. Paul Heyman, who knew Vince, who was commentating WrestleMania 17, because after he kind of knew that he was going to sell to Vince, he was there doing commentary while Jerry Lawler was out taking care of legal problems. And no, that wasn't actually. Sorry, that's not fair, Jerry Lawler. That was when Kat left him. Remember the whole controversy where Kat left? Kat walked out, or she got fired, and then Jerry said, "You can't fire my wife, so I'm leaving too." And Jerry walked out. While they were gone, Kat cheated on him, so Jerry Lawler came crawling back, going, "Can I have my job back?" But in the meantime, in the year that happened or whatever, Paul Heyman was the commentator with JR on Raw, and he did WrestleMania 17. So what if Vince was like, wait a minute, what if I work out a deal and you stay on TNN and you learn how to fucking be a team player and you're on Friday nights or whatever? Like, what if ECW never folded, Dave?
Can I pick the low-hanging fruit?
Yeah.
There's no NXT if that happens. That's the biggest crazy portion of it because if you keep plucking from ECW, I mean maybe it happens later, but it doesn't happen when it happens because to your point, Jess, ECW was the plucking of talent, finding Paul was finding people from all over to make things work and get them notoriety, and Vince was choosing them. But once he bought them, at that point, like, well. And obviously, for years the territories have been gone. So where do you get your talent from? now you have to home grow it, right? ECW was one of the last ditch efforts to pull talent from somewhere else to bring them to the WWF at that time model. I think we might have been E at that point, but
Think about this too. So you're going to think about the time period. Does the invasion angle get a little better? Because then Paul could actually lend more of his talent, and it's going to have more of an ECW edge. So instead of the WCW/ECW invasion angle later that summer shitting the bed, which it did,
that's a good
like
positive, yeah.
Paul was still going to be an outside entity going, who do you want to borrow? And all the people from WCW that ended up really not doing anything. Lance Storm probably wouldn't have went to WWF. He would have went to ECW again. Maybe people that didn't work out in WWF or weren't the big top players, because I know Vince didn't have all the contracts right away, like from WCW. But what if like he was able to get the shit people? And I don't mean that to be rude, but like the people that he never planned to do anything. Al Snow goes back. Lance Storm goes back. Canyon goes over to ECW. Like that looks different as
Right.
well. Like,
That's a good one. That's a really good one.
I
It's
thought, you were
changed
gonna
a
say,
lot.
I thought you were going to say, Paulie just got inducted to the Hall of Fame, and he's still talking,
Oh,
Even
fantastic.
now, at this moment,
Yeah.
he still won't shut up.
His moniker is
Before I
not
said it.
Blackjack, Joe. He's not Blackjack Mulligan. It's okay.
Mm.
all right. Well, it's all right. And I feel better. I didn't know how that was going to go over. Who wants to?
That's
go next?
it's really good stuff. I love that. Mine's not going to be nearly as good. I can whimper it before Joe sends us home. I have two. I think they're 50-50. I'm just going to pick one. What if Becky Lynch never got her nose broken by Nia Jax?
Ooh. Good one.
I don't know.
Because here's the thing.
I think the man still would have gotten over.
Yeah.
Maybe, but here I mean, at
But
least
that
for me
was
personally,
her
right?
Austin 316 moment in a way.
It was
for
'cause
sure.
here-
Yeah,
Here's the
definitely.
thing: when Becky turned on Miss Flair and beat the shit out of her with the Singapore King, the crowd erupted in a way that I don't think anybody intended. I don't know if they'll ever go back and talk about that. They're like, well, we'll see where this goes. Maybe it'll be positive, maybe it'll be negative. But people were sick of Charlotte winning, a dozen plus championships, and I think Becky inside was sick of it too. For not for kayfabe, but for like real cut promo, like this is a shoot. I'm sick of it too, and we're going to use this in a storyline, and that obviously sent the rocket off, right? But I don't know if we get the same level of the man that we get without Becky Lynch literally getting her nose broken by this big behemoth of Nia Jax, which I still love. It's one of my favorites. I'm definitely in the minority on that. I'm a big Nia Jax fan. I know she hurts people.
I don't know
all
if
that stuff.
you are in the minority, Dave. Like honestly, I think the internet voice sounds louder than it really is. I don't think Nia Jax is as bad as people make her out to be. I think she's fine.
I think that's true too. I think so.
Like,
Yeah.
And I kind of paint that picture at the end, like Becky gets pummeled because Nia punches through her face, and honestly, not only breaks her nose, but I think even collapses a bit of orbital socket, if I recall correctly. I could be wrong. And she gets up at the end of the stands and does this, and she's gushing blood, and the crowd is losing their fucking mind. And then there's even a small biopic a week later that you see where you find out that Becky can't wrestle next week, and she's fucking crying, livid, pissed off. Like it's real and it's raw, and you're like, when I saw those things,
When
I saw
Austin
Nia
got dropped on his
Jax,
head, it's everything. It mirrors Austin almost
it's
exactly.
all of it, and I was like, I am on and I think I told you guys, I am on the Becky bandwagon. Go ahead, Greg. Sorry.
no, I'm going to say it's funny that Jess said that because I think my last to go, because my one was, it's going to segue from that. What if Austin had to retire after Owen Hart broke his neck?
Oh
or
my
hurt
God.
him?
Oh my
So
god!
it's
Honey,
it's
yeah.
funny that you just said that as a connection to what Austin became. My what if is, and if we still want to talk about that, we actually can. But I thought it was a perfect segue because you just said it.
No, that's a great
What if
segue,
Austin had to
but-
retire after his Owen Hart injury?
I
Oh
don't
my God.
know. I don't know if Vince lets Brett go then. I think Brett became such a problem in the back because Brett was such kind of the old way, and Vince saw that DX is working, And then when Austin started to get hot, like even before the Owen thing, like Vince knew, and everybody was in Vince's ear, Russo and even DX, like Shawn and Hunter in the back were like, you got to go edgy. Before Hall and Nash left in 96, you got to go fucking edgy. You got to get a little bit more edgier. They don't want this bubblegum shit anymore. People were telling Vince like that for a while, for a full year before he finally is like, all right. Like, so if he had to retire, there's no Mr. McMahon. Like, because unless they stage Brett
because
getting
there's also
and he has the money to let Brett stay, right?
And
he has to.
There's no screw job. There's no screw job.
Well, the screw job is manufactured. In other words, the screw job is an angle at this point because he's got to have a foil. So Brett's got to be his Stone Cold at that point. Like, so like
the screw job. Yes,
the screw job. It doesn't let Brett go. It becomes Brett becomes the
Joe would
anti-hero.
love that.
Yeah.
For all the fans out there, Joe never really liked Bret Hart.
Well, because he badmouthed Hogan and Flair when he didn't need to fucking
badmouthed Hogan and Flair.
Even though he ended up being right about them, I don't care. Like at the time,
very true. Very true.
Even though years later, I'm like, Brett's kind of right, like about everything. Like,
I know. I'm conflicted. Like,
if you really think about it, like he kind of is.
Well,
but I mean,
everybody's right about some and wrong about others, and he's right about some things about some guys. The Chop thing, I disagree. The Hogan prima donna stuff that doesn't work for my brother, I tend to agree. Like WrestleMania 9.
Can you imagine Brett's ego if he became the Austin and if he ruled for the next 5+
Stone Cold
years?
Bret Hart.
God damn it!
Yeah, well, especially without injury,
the
because
Hitman character, they actually could have tailored that. Started dressing him all in black
because you got to figure,
like, and he could have been a cooler. And he
nice.
But
he was already cooler. He was already the heel Hart Foundation Brett at this point. He was already the heel Hart Foundation Brett at this point.
Yeah,
Brett
he was.
He was already a heel. Like, he was already like I'm a face in everywhere else, but I'm a heel here in America. America sucks. You guys don't take care of your citizens and all this stuff. Like, he was already that Brett. So Vince would have had to have turned him like anti-hero, like the other way. And then Brett would have been a face all over again and probably feuded with Shawn the next year. And like, it's crazy. Like, it's crazy what they would have had to have done. That I'm not comfortable with that scenario. Craig, thank you.
Wow.
Joe hasn't gone. Joe, you have not gone.
Joe's going to close us out.
I'm torn because I got 3 left on my one. Maybe a little bit too similar to something we already talked about. One actually might segue from what we just did. So
go with your heart.
I'm going to go ahead and go and I'm going to segue because we went.
Fucking boo.
Like Dave's led into Craig's is going to lead into this. Is that what if Owen doesn't die?
Oh,
that was mine too. That was one of mine.
What if Owen? What if the gimmick goes smoothly?
Yes.
He lands.
Well, I don't know about smoothly because I didn't like what they were doing with him anyway. They were doing the alter ego.
They're bringing the blue blazer black, blue blazer black. The blue.
Well, they were doing a split ego, and then Owen would come on and he'd be like, "I don't even know who the Blue Blazer is." Like he would just do like which was kind of funny, but it was a Russo idea. I don't know what the status of his contract was, and I think he only got trapped in it because Vince didn't let him out. Because Vince knew that he was talented as well, so Vince is like, "Don't go. Like I'll pay you more money. Stay here."
Mm-hmm.
And then they didn't do anything with him. He was going to be the Blackheart Owen Hart, and they let Shawn cut a promo on him because he's a piece of shit, that Shawn. And they called him the Nugget. You're like a nugget when you take a poop in the toilet, and that nugget won't go down. You keep trying to flush it. You're that nugget, Owen. So like they did all that shit to Owen, and then they never paid it off because Vince is a cocksucker and lied to him.
Shawn loved him. Shawn loved him. Come on.
I mean, Shawn liked him for sure, but like it was a whole thing where like there was supposed to be a main event program with Shawn and Michaels, and it never happened. And then Michaels retired after 14 because his back hurt, and Austin won the title. So it's like I think there's definitely a feud with Austin down the line, but it didn't happen in 98. And Owen unfortunately passed away in May of 99. So in a weird way, it's like they never had a plan for him. I think his contract expires, he goes to WCW eventually. Because if he doesn't die.
I think you
then
would have
I'll
been a
ta-
world
I'll just
champion there too.
extrapolate,
Yeah.
I'll say WCW didn't know how to use him. I'd say he'd go back to WWF
Oh, sure.
at some point, and
Sure.
I think, or WWE, and I think his talent, because he
Because
turned
after
chicken,
Brett would get the concussion from Goldberg, Owen would be like, "I'm out of here. I want to go
Yeah.
back." Like, or he would write out his contract till 01 when it got bought out, and then he would come back and wrestle people like, I don't know, Eddie Guerrero and Kurt Angle and all those fucking people.
Yeah,
Like, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like,
that's what made me think
think
of
he-
the topic is like, can you imagine Owen and Kurt Angle going
Right.
at it?
right.
Yeah.
Owen and
He just
Guerrero.
had to survive,
Owen
and I
and
think
Eddie,
he
Guerrero.
could.
Owen and Benoit. You know,
Owen and
Oh my
Benoit
God.
done
He
properly.
turned chicken shin to chicken salad. Everything, every gimmick he did, he kind of
Yeah.
would.
I think-
his
I think
talent
Owen-
rose.
There was just
I
part of
think
me
he
that
would still
wanted to, like,
survive.
I wanted to watch those matches.
Yeah.
I wanted to
Yeah,
see
Joe,
him
for sure.
and Angle go at it.
Guerrero,
But-
Mysterio,
you know,
Edge.
Even
Fuck.
taking it a step further, I think Owen would have been a world champion for a very brief period of time in those eras.
They would have.
With those
I
guys.
mean, yeah, especially because what they were doing with the world title at that time, where they're, everybody's winning it for like a day
6
or
months.
and 2
Yeah.
weeks or
WCW,
whatever.
yeah.
Like they were just dropping the time. Even WWF,
Right.
like they're just like, oh, like so and so
Yeah.
was champion for like 1 day, or they wanted
Yeah.
they lost it on a pay-per-view and lost it on Raw.
Yeah.
or a bunch
And
of shit
from all
like that.
accounts, he wasn't fully invested. He would have never been a 6-year champ. I think he wanted to make some money and
Or-
retire. Like-
Or the thing is that I really want to, feel this way. He would have finished his contract, made his money, and he and his wife would have built the home they wanted to and
Yes.
retired, and that would be
That
it.
was the plan.
Yes.
And then-
that was the plan.
And then
That was the plan.
we'd be inducting him into the Hall of Fame somewhere like 10 years down the
Yeah.
line, and
God,
like
That's
imagine
another one.
a Owen and
He'll-
Mankind
he'll-
feud.
as much as I'm
He'll
selfish and I
never-
want to see Guerrero
But
and all that stuff.
he'll never
or
be,
whatever,
but he'll never be inducted. He'll never be inducted here. To your point, he would have been
He might
already.
with the new administration, Martha.
yeah,
would
some
probably
people are
do it.
saying that Triple H has started reaching out to already, saying it's different, it's not the same. Like, let us honor him. So we'll see. Like, we'll see if she finally
Gosh,
lets it happen. So
he deserves it, and his family deserves it. I get where she's coming from. I don't want to judge that, but I hope they can find common ground. That'd be great.
unlike some movies, our part 3 and part 4 they might be better
Are
than
better than
number
part 1 and 2.
Yeah, man.
better than the
Jesus Christ.
originals.
I think
Yeah.
we
So
were on
we're
a-
now
on a-
approaching like
filming the movies back to back like we did.
Yeah.
I think
we're in
we
like
had
Friday
we
the
had the same
13th
energy.
territory.
Yeah.
Friday the
Friday the
13th movies
13th.
kind of get a little better. They almost like peak
know
at
why?
6, 7, and 8.
Uh,
We're like it's like the Fast and Furious franchise. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. You family, bro.
terrible.
Family. Nuclear code in a Lamborghini.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Awesome.
I think the Saw movies kind of
Because-
followed the suit to a certain extent.
Oh,
Like,
Jesus.
I mean, no, they were the other way. 1 and 2 were the best, and then they went off the rails after that. Never mind.
You know who
I took it too
Lewis.
far.
We're gonna go back in time. For audio fans, give us a listen on Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, and iHeartRadio, or watch our videos on YouTube at Our Wrestling Channel, and check out exclusive content on Daily Motion at Our Wrestling Podcast
Don't.
on social media. Can you give Jess a coronary and follow us on Instagram at OWP2019 or
You're all
on
fuck off.
Facebook at Our Wrestling Podcast.
Shut your stupid
For
fucking mouth.
Jess, Craig, Dave, and Joe, this is the OWP signing
what
off.
if
Have
you all
a
weren't stupid
good one.
bitches? What if?
Oh, well, that's some.
Oh.